It is no doubt that Nigeria is faced with an acute food crisis as issues of banditry, insurgency, displacement, long-term effects of COVID-19 pandemic, high inflation and soaring commodity prices has made worse by the Russian-Ukraine war, just pushed out about 20 million Nigerians to face food security. Insecurity, I beg your pardon. This development has raised concerns from both local and international partners, and as the United States has pledged to support the country with $55 million in food security relief for Nigerians as part of efforts to address the economic, food, and nutrition needs of vulnerable communities in countries most adversely impacted by high food, fuel, and fertilizer prices. Well, let's get talking. I'm being joined by lecturer at the University, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, in the history department is Dr. Emmanuel Akubo. It's the first time on the show. Thank you so much. It's good to have you join us, Dr. Akubo.
Thank you, Tolu, for having me. Great to be here.
Yes, let's get talking. When I was reading through earlier today, I saw that the International Finance Corporation has signed a $35 million deal for food. USAID is pledging support of 1.3 billion naira also for food. We've seen what AFDB has also done. And back home here, we see the CBN also trying always to try and, re-energize the agricultural space. What is your assessment of all of these moves that are happening at this time? Didn't you think we're supposed to prepare earlier before now?
Thank you very much, Tolu. You see, that has always been the problem with our country, that will always want to pay into problem when the problem is already at its peak, instead of preparing much earlier. And this has become so problematic that at the end of the day, the US and all other bodies may end up releasing funds and bringing in the aid. But the problem is how prepared is the country and the agricultural sector. Because these are things that we ought to have started long, long ago, especially knowing the fact that, one, the country is an agricultural country with vast land, with much energy. But then this money coming in and this aid coming in, are they coming at the right time? Because this is far long into the farming season. So at which point are we applying this? Because it depends. It depends. So I am not too sure if this is the right time. I believe that we ought to have been much more prepared than before now. But again, we can say it is better late than never.
Let's talk about the inflation pattern too of food in Nigeria. We've seen it going high, and we know the issues that we grapple with, from insecurity to issues of scarcity of grains, fertilizer hike, and all of that. Where does that put us as a nation, considering the fact that the Russian-Ukraine war is still won?
My take on that is, I am not too comfortable always putting the blame on the table of the Russian-Ukraine war. Before these countries went into war, we're already surviving. Even when they were not at war, there were already symptoms of what we are experiencing now. We have always known that, at least, but as at 2021, there was already, we're talking about over 100 million Nigerians who were already facing food insecurity between 2020 and 2021. And so putting the blame on at the foot of the Russian-Ukraine war, I think that is not the best. Rather, we should look inward. Nigeria is known to be the ninth largest agricultural producing country. And so Russia and Ukraine, they have always been there. And we know that most of their agricultural produce are for export. But what we produce mostly in this country, we consume. So are we now saying Ukraine, that is involved in account for over 25% of maybe other export, especially of wheat to other parts of the world, is affecting us? I think we should look inward. The problem with the country is that we have failed to plan. And when you fail to plan, You cannot go anywhere. Take, for instance, when people talk about this issue of food, especially of wheat, in this country, we know that they are in the northern part of the country is very well established in wheat production. We have 13 states: Adamawa, Yobe, Gombe, Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, uh, uh, and others that are very much involved in wheat production. So before now, before the Ukraine Russian war, we were not feeding ourselves. So I am not too comfortable with that. I think it is more of internal problem. And I will want to link it to two basic things. One, the first is the issue of COVID-19. Immediately the COVID-19 pandemic started, I think that exposed the shabby nature of the agricultural ministry in Nigeria. That is, an inability to prepare and store food. Then the second is the fact that of course, before the COVID-19, we already had some elements of the insurgency in the northern part of the country. But immediately the COVID-19 thing was relaxing, we saw the way insurgency uh, and took over the larger part of northern Nigeria. And up to date, the people are yet to recover from it. People can no longer go to farm. The government is not making available things that should help. Those that ought to have been the manpower in the I mean for agriculture have all migrated at least up to 2015 or there. But we're talking about 50, 10, 13 million out of school viable youth who could account for agriculture. But before then, those were people that were actually assisting in agricultural production in the north, especially at the
All right, then we'll try to reconnect with Dr. Akubor there to speak more about insecurity with regards to food and what is happening across the globe. Now, it's not just Nigeria. No, this discussion is not limited to Nigeria. It's across the globe, considering what is happening, well, in Ukraine and the fallout of COVID-19 pandemic. And we've seen that all of these issues and the support from international partners seems to be very commendable. But how well with most of these funds, how will they be channeled to rightful, channels so that we can actually get results and not just funding and funding and funding? Let's take a break. And when we return, I will continue this discussion with Dr.